Good morning and welcome to Morning Ride on Delta Television, the People's Pride. On behalf of the board, management, and staff of Delta Broadcasting Service (DBS) Asaba, we are pleased to have you join us this beautiful and cool Monday morning, the 18th day in the month of May 2026. My name is Blessing Usiagbada, and alongside my colleague Ogaga Ekama, we'll be bringing you educative, informative, and entertaining conversations just to start your morning today. Good morning, Ogaga. How are
Good
you
morning,
doing?
Blessing. I'm doing great. How are you
I'm doing
doing?
very
How was
well.
your weekend?
Our weekend was great. For the first time, I think since this year, I had a very restful weekend.
First time this year.
Yes,
Yeah,
I took my time to have enough rest.
that's good.
Yeah,
I think you should do that more often, really.
yeah.
You
How,
should
how
do
was your
that.
weekend?
My weekend was great,
Mm.
was good. I thank God. Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Morning Ride here on Delta Television. Um, it was normal on my way to work this morning. Okay, last night,
Yeah,
this morning, there was good, relatively good power supply and all of that.
it's a good
And
one.
I hope that BDC keeps it up and all of that. But
Yeah.
and the rains, I love the rains.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I like it when the weather is chilled and cold.
Yeah.
But something else is the mosquitoes.
Mm.
God, and I have a mosquito net. I need to set up my mosquito net.
You should.
It was so terrible. I applied insecticide about some 2 3 days ago in my
Mm-hmm.
house, and all of a sudden, once the rains come around, mosquitoes begin to brood and all
Yeah.
of that. But I love it when it's cool,
It
really.
is. Well, just like Ogaga said, over the weekend, many parts of the country experienced heavy rainfall. Here in the capital city of Delta State in Asaba, it rained on Saturday night. It rained yesterday night as well. So many parts of the country experienced heavy rainfall, and it is just the signal that we are fully in the rainy season. The rains have come, and we should be prepared. And now that NIMET has given its predictions that over 30 states in Nigeria may experience flooding this year, 2026. We have to be at alert, we have to be prepared for the rains, and we have to be prepared for the possibility of our areas being flooded. And we've been saying this over the years, we've been singing and we've been sensitizing, but we're still going to say it again. You have a role to play when it comes to flooding. One, the rainy season, it's a natural order. It's something that you and I cannot change. It's natural. So you cannot say, oh, the government should stop the rains from coming. No, it will happen. This is the rainy season. We're in the season of the rains, and we should be expecting more rains as it is. But we have a role to play when it comes to safeguarding ourselves, safeguarding our properties, and safeguarding our communities. We have said it often that you should not allow your drains to be blocked. If you live in an environment or a community or around where you stay, there are drains. The government have constructed drains in your area, the street where you live. You can't just neglect it and say, oh, it's the government's duty to come and clear the drains and all that. No, the government put that road for you. The government puts the drains there to make things easier for residents in Delta State. So you have a role to play, and that role is making sure that the drains where you live, around where you live, are clean and they are free, so that when it rains, the deaths and refuse that people throw into the drains will not block the water from flowing, because that is one of the causes of flooding we have in our communities in Delta State, in Nigeria. When the drains are blocked and then it rains, you begin to experience flooding. So make sure that your drains are not blocked, make sure they're clean. Every Saturday, come out of your houses, come out of your gates, and clean your drains. I have one just in front of my gate, in front of where I live, and every Saturday we make it a habit to pick the refuse inside of there, and that leads us to throwing of refuse into the drains. Those drains were not constructed for you to dispose your refuse. So please stop throwing your refuse inside those drainages.
Yeah, picking up from where you stopped, I think that more sensitization needs to be done on how to dispose trash
Yeah.
and all of that, because the average Nigerian still does not get the idea of not throwing the sachets, wrappers of sweet gums or whatsoever, just carelessly disposing them on the road and all of that. So I think more sensitization needs to be done. I think I was walking on the road a couple of weeks back, and someone was just done taking something, like a sachet of something, and there was, because of course there was drainage by the walkway there, but one slab was not in
Open.
place. So the person just dropped it there and all of that. So I think it's a culture that needs to be disabused from the minds of persons, because some persons, they do it innocently, so to say.
No, it's not innocently. You
That's why I said
in your
some
home,
persons.
except if you say innocently, then it means when you're in your home, when you're on your bed and you eat something, you just throw it on the floor.
No.
Except you do that, then you can say innocently. Because I know that in your homes you have places where you throw your trash. So when you're walking on the road, you shouldn't do that.
So get my context. Why I said innocently. That analogy is not really similar. You know why? Because there are persons that hold trash till they don't just throw it by the roadside. They wait till they get to a gutter and they dispose it in the gutter. So in their head,
that's the best place.
in their heads, they are not making a mess of the environment.
Okay.
The gutter is hidden, so they just drop it there. So it's like a dump site for them. So that's why I said yes. But there are some persons that know. But that's why I used the word some. There are some persons that innocently, they feel like, okay, there's a gutter, we just dispose. I've not seen persons that even they start using gutter. They even, not beyond sachets. They go and empty stuff there.
Yes, those people who sell cons.
Do you understand? So when they are done, they just
have
put
shops
it there and
close
feel
to
like it's a
the
good place
gutters.
to
They
live in.
dispose. It's not.
So
it shouldn't be sold.
that's why I said this sensitization needs to be done, because it affects all of us. It affects all of us, and even those persons that even go beyond not only the gutters. Now they now put a place. Now they don't normally, there's PSP, especially in Asaba here, that functions.
Yeah.
So first of all, you need to be registered and you need to pay your monthly dues and all of that. But you also need to have a waste bin. That is where you are meant to dump the trash that you gather. Because just putting, because back then, growing up, we see some persons, they just confiscate a particular area and make that a refuse site, and it's unofficial. So when they do that and the winds blow, the rains come, they wash these things away, because initially they'll say, okay, when it becomes a heap, we will burn it and all of that. But sometimes there is not enough time for you to burn it before winds begin to transfer these things to places that they are not meant to be.
The air pollution from such places is bad.
So we need to take responsibility. We need to ensure that our environment is clean. Then for the flooding thing, if you've been in an area for, especially where you stay now, you experienced the last rainy season. So you should know, you don't even need NIMET to come and tell you that, okay, this area will be flooded. You should already know if your area is flood prone, and all of that. So if it is, please move to highlands. Take your imported documents. If you have a house where you can lift your electronics and all of that, that's if the water comes in. Because for some persons, it's just within their environment. But when I got to Asaba here, I realized that water enters people's houses and even climbs some of them. It even overwhelms the chairs and all of that. I was like, because I've never experienced that. So if you're in that kind of place, I don't know why you got that kind of place in the first place. But if you are in that kind of place, then start taking safety measures, because in all of this, your life matters. Some person will be like, I cannot leave my house. Your life matters. I've heard someone telling me a story that he woke up and saw that he was floating. So please,
especially in our communities, if your area is prone to flooding, you have to move, especially your properties, your very important documents. You have to start moving them and move yourself as well, because your life is important. And also for motorists and pedestrians, when it is raining, please be very careful. Last week during our segments with FRSC, he did mention that when it is raining, there are things you should do as a motorist, right? So be very careful. Recorded interview. Yes, you be very careful during heavy rainfall. Do not attempt to drive or walk through flooded roads, especially for pedestrians. I've seen cases where, I've seen videos on social media in communities that experienced very heavy flooding last year, where someone attempted to cross the road, and the water just took him.
Yes.
Those
torrential floods, please be careful.
They are so heavy. They can move vehicles, they can move motorcycles, they can move tricycles, they can move human beings. So you have to be careful. Once it's raining heavily, please do not attempt to drive or walk through flooded roads, especially when you don't know the depth of that of that water. You just want to test with, don't even test with 1 feet. Just avoid the place
Just
totally. And also, parents are advised to monitor their children during the season. Very important. I know that children love to play when it's when it's raining. Children love to go out to play, but you have to monitor your children. Make sure that they don't go to flooded areas or open drains. Very important. Yeah. And this is a call on government too, to ensure that those drainages that we have along the roads, that some parts, like you said, some parts can be open sometimes. They should do something about it. They should try to cover it so that pedestrians don't fall
yes, because that's another terrible thing.
Yes, and also it's very important. I don't know if we have that culture in Nigeria, but we should have that culture of keeping emergency numbers handy. Some persons don't know the phone numbers of their parents, but they don't know the phone numbers of their siblings. So it's very important that you have it. You should be able to recite it. You should be able to call it. Your children should be able to know your phone numbers. Teach them your phone numbers. Teach them your full names. Very important. So keep emergency numbers handy. And as like Ogaga said, your important documents, keep them safe. All right. If your area is prone to flooding, move your important documents.
Even if your area is not prone to flood, another thing you need to do is always shut your windows when you're leaving the house right about now, because you cannot predict.
It has happened to flooding. Flooding enters through the doors. I don't know how water gets into the apartment. Even if you close your windows.
If you close, no, I'm talking about, yes, we've talked about people that their apartments prone to flooding, because you didn't let me land. So for people that their apartments not prone to flooding, you also need to shut your windows. My house, I stay upstairs, so first of all, my compound is not prone to flooding and all of that. But subsequent times, like, it's so terrible. I remember that was up to like 6-7 years ago, when I came to us. I had an event to MC. I came back from church and it was very sunny. It was rainy season though. It was very sunny, so I was like, okay, it's all good. I left my windows open. So after the event, the rain was very heavy. When I got home, water was in my body. Yes, through the windows. Oh, no. It has even happened to me. Where I stay now, it's upstairs. So, but there are times that that's why trees have been falling around the Okpanam axis. Now the rain comes with heavy wind. So if your window is open, and it happens to go in the direction of your window, and if your bed is close to your window, by the time you get to your house might not necessarily be flooded, but important stuff like your mattress will be wet. So that's why you always need to shut your windows, whether it's sunny or not, because you can't predict when it will rain.
True, and you need to also stay updated with the weather reports. Listen to your radios, listen to the TV, listen to the news, so you get important weather updates. For me, I have this feature on my phone that can tell you the weather. You can predict what the weather would be today, tomorrow,
most smartphones,
and even 3 days. So you will not know if you should carry your umbrella, if you should dress in a particular way, if you should your footwear, if you should change it. So it's important. Stay updated with weather reports and weather updates so that you know what to do. And like Ogaga said, if it's going to rain, then you know that when you're stepping out of your house, you have to close your windows so that you don't come back and then find your house being baptized by water. All right, that's all. Just know that the rainy season, like I said, it's a natural occurrence. There's nothing we can do about it. The rains are here, but you have to stay prepared. You have to stay safe. And make sure that if you are in a flood-prone area, you have to move. Your life is very important. All right, now let's move to trending stories. Over the weekend, we had primaries in Delta State. Today, the primaries for the All Progressive Congress continues. But last week, on Saturday, it was the APC House of Representatives primaries in Delta State. Now, one of the trending stories we have here is the Delta State Governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori, has actually commended the peaceful and orderly conduct of the All Progressive Congress APC House of Representatives primary elections held across the state. Well, the governor described the exercise as a true reflection of the unity, transparency, and growing strength of the party as it prepares for the 2027 general elections. Governor Oborevwori spoke shortly after casting his vote in his ward at Okpe local government area during the Okpe Sapele Uwe Federal Constituency primary election. He expressed satisfaction with the level of participation by party members and commended the peaceful atmosphere that characterized the exercise. Meanwhile, the APC House of Representatives primaries produced winners across the various federal constituencies in Delta State. In Ethiop Federal Constituency, Honorable Swenui Bori emerged winner, while Reverend Francis Waive secured victory in Ugeli Udu Federal Constituency. We also have Honorable Ramsin Onoyake. He won the Okwe Sapele Uwe Federal Constituency primary. As former minority leader of the House of Representatives, Honorable Ndudi Elumelu emerged winner in Anyocha Oshimili Federal Constituency. In Ika Federal Constituency, Mr. Emmanuel Osazuwa clinched the party ticket, while Honorable Nnamdi Ezechi emerged victorious in Ndokwa Ukwani Federal Constituency. Honorable Julius Pondi won the Burutu Federal Constituency primary, while Right Honorable Basil Ganagana emerged winner in Bomadi Patani Federal Constituency. For Isoko Federal Constituency, Adriel Gene Ukodiko secured the APC ticket, while Honorable Thomas Ereyutomi emerged winner in Wari Federal Constituency. Governor Borewori also praised party leaders, electoral officials, and supporters for their commitment to a free, fair, and credible process, noting that the success of the primaries further demonstrates APC's readiness for future electoral victories in Delta State. Ologaga, the peaceful conduct of the APC primaries in Delta State, it held on Saturday. Just like the governor said, it reflects the growing internal unity and organizations within the party ahead of the 2027 elections. Remember when the governor moved to the All Progressive Congress of the PDP, moved with the executive, the legislature, they all moved to the party. You know, some persons were not quite happy, and some persons predicted that it would not go well for them in the 2027 election. But what we've seen so far, especially with the House of Representatives primaries that we had on Saturday, it shows that somehow they've been able to put their house in order, and there's internal unity in the party. And like the governor said, let's hope that in 2027 the party would remain strengthened, the party will remain united, and it would earn them victory in the 2027 elections. Well, Governor Sheriff Oboriwori's endorsement of the process, it also signals effort to, strengthen confidence in the party's democratic structure and electoral readiness across the country. And that's for the APC House of Representatives primaries. Today, the primaries continue, and
for the Red Chamber, the Senate.
Mm.
Okay, so for the House of Reps, what happened in Delta State? I must say that I'm glad because when it was not just Delta State that held primaries for House of Reps, when it comes to the APC, other states held theirs, and in a state like Ondo State, for example, there were cases of displeased and dissatisfied aspirants, and the party's primary appeal committee have said that, or the party has said that, okay, people that are disgruntled, they are not pleased with the outcome, they should make an appeal. In Ekiti specifically, it was inconclusive due to violence. So that's why I am grateful, because when you see there are pockets of violence, disgruntled individuals, protests against the results in other parts, still in the same party, APC, but Delta State, there's no report of any of such yet, and all of that. So, and the governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oboriwori, commending the process. Even the deputy governor in the Ukwani constituency, he also commended it. There was the A4 option. So it's all good, the transparency and all of that. And the deputy governor, Samonde Eme, spoke highly of the A4 option and how transparent it was. So, and with the transparency and all of that, you could see that there were not dissenting voices. So it's a good one with everything that happened in Delta. Because when it comes to elections generally in Nigeria, we are yet to get it right to a large extent. We still see violence and all of that. Imagine primaries now.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say that when you
in primaries, we're seeing violence.
In primaries, it's an internal affair of just one party, and there's violence. Then imagine what they would want to do in 2027.
So it's very disturbing, but at the same time, like I started with, I'm glad with what happened in Delta State, and I hope that of today, when it comes to the Senate, the Senate primaries, that it is also peaceful.
We hope
Of
so.
course, we know that it's not easy, but I'm calling for the spirit of sportsmanship.
Yeah.
If it is, first of all, the process needs to be fair and transparent.
Yes.
And once it is fair and transparent, I want to believe that the persons that do not emerge victorious, they'll take it with good heart and with a good attitude that, all right, it's one party, this person, the people decided that this person should represent them. I will come out and I will support you and ensure that our party gets the ticket eventually come 2027.
Yes, and other parties should take a cue from Saturday's primaries. They should make sure that their primaries are peaceful. It says, like Ogaga said, we've not gotten it right when it comes to elections in Nigeria. It's a very, very shameful thing that for primaries we're having cases of violence and attacks. It shouldn't be. And our elections generally should not have violence at all. So we're appealing to people, we're appealing to party leaders, to stakeholders, that they should speak to their people. There is no need for violence at all. Just like Ogaga said, there's a committee that's been set up. If you have your grievances, you can go to the committee, go with your complaints, and they would address them. But the elections, the primaries should be transparent and it should be fair as well. Let's move on now to our next story.
Now, this is a very, very sad one. And I remember I was having a conversation with somebody, a colleague, as a matter of fact, and we're just talking about how, except most times because of the work, it's not really a good thing. We don't feel good when we start our day going through the headlines and stories in Nigeria. And this happens to be one of the headlines that you do not want to start your day with, as there is now growing tension in parts of Oyo State following a deadly attack by suspected gunmen in an Ogbomoso Axis community in Orire local government area. Now, the incident, which occurred in the early hours of Friday, May 15, reportedly left some residents dead and several students abducted, throwing the entire area into panic. In swift response to the development, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Olatunji Disu, has visited the affected community to assess the situation firsthand and coordinate security operations. During his visit, the IGP expressed deep concern over the tragic incident and extended condolences to the families of those who lost their lives. He also assured residents that security agencies are fully mobilized to track down the attackers and rescue the abducted students safely. Authorities say efforts are ongoing while residents have been urged to remain calm and cooperate with security operatives as investigations continue. Okay, I'll start with commendations first. Good move by the IGP to be on the ground of the incident, the community, visiting them, expressing his condolences and all of that. But I think we are used to this rhetoric of condoling with the families, the security, they're on top of this, cooperate with security operatives and all of that. But it still seems like the headlines are still not changing. I don't want to be a prophet of doom, but by next week again, there will be another incident of violence, be it abduction, kidnap, killings, an attack, an explosion, and it's just so terrible. I don't know, and it's so painful and disheartening that we had the number 3 man in the country came out a couple of weeks ago talking about the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, saying that these attacks, they have a political tone, that because we are getting towards the general elections, that's why these attacks are the way they are. But that's not true.
He wants to, is he trying to say that from 2023,
that
they won the election till now, we've not had cases of abductions in communities?
They're trying to politicize. That's the painful thing. You cannot be playing politics with lives of people. And another thing, yes, that's why I commended the IGP. I hope that going forward, and now that he visited the state and the community, that this happened, that the security operatives will be up and doing. Because we've also gotten reports in previous situations that attacks will go on for 3 hours, 4 hours. They'll reach out to the military, to the police. It's after these perpetrators, these assailants, they've left. That's when we're seeing security persons come. Now, the federal government has said that paying of ransom is not accepted. But we've had situations in previous times, they say they didn't pay any ransom, and later we'll have a counter report that they received monies. And we even see this bandits, these kidnappers flaunting the cash, and sometimes we see videos of Ghana must goes or jute bags that have been presented with funds in them. My appeal now is that these abducted students, the federal government, the state government, security operatives, they need to do everything possible that no further life is lost, because some persons were killed already during the attack. That these students are freed. And we need a situation where we start hearing that, not that the students were just released, arrests were made. Because when we are just hearing 200 persons kidnapped, 7 persons kidnapped, 10 persons kidnapped, 20 persons kidnapped, then after a week, after a couple of days, we hear that they were released. No arrests, no gun battle, nobody killed, and you tell us that no ransom was paid. Well, we need to put an end to all of this.
Yeah. No, we that are on this side of the country, like, we've not seen with our eyes such attacks in this part of the country, in Delta State. We've not experienced, we've not heard of such attacks happening. Sometimes when I read reports like this, I begin to ask myself, did this really happen? Did gunmen really go to a school, abducted not 1, not 2, not 10, not 20? Sometimes you hear 200 students.
How do they move there?
Killed people for hours, and nobody was apprehended. The police are not on any trail, nothing. So as I ask myself, are these stories really true? Now, do you know the pain that the parents would go through? Like, you sent your child to the school and your child did not come back home. It is really terrible. And like Ogaga has said, it is time for our leaders to stop playing politics with these issues. The abduction, from 2023, we've had reports of people being kidnapped, abductions, communities being sacked. So this is not just about, because we're gearing up for the 2027 election. This is an issue of insecurity growing in the country on a daily basis. The level of insecurity in the country is something that should even make the president declare a state of emergency on our communities. It is time to stop talking. The IGP going to visit the community, wonderful. But aside from visiting them and commiserating with the family of those who lost their loved ones, what is being done by security agencies to make sure that these criminal elements are apprehended? The last time it happened, we heard that all the students were released, and I asked the question, how were they released? How did the security operate? Where did they find the children? So it's time for us to really, really get it right in the country when it comes to kidnappings, abductions, insecurity. Because I asked the questions, where are security operatives when they go to a particular community, they go to the school, they move a number. Now, we don't even know the actual number of students that have been moved,
that's
or the number of people that were killed. We don't know the exact number. So where were the security operatives when this was happening? And then, I don't know, in schools, do they have the numbers of security agencies that if something like this happens, a call can be made to the police officers? I don't even understand it. But it is terrible. It is a terrible news. It's a terrible way to start our day. It happened on Friday, and over the weekend we're yet to get reports that 1 or 2 persons have been apprehended. The police are on this, and assurances that these children will return home, because it is scary. This would traumatize the children for a long time. Imagine going to school and being adopted from the school, taken to the forest, walking for days, because I hear that these people make them walk through the forest for days until they get to a destination. And is Nigeria too big? Is Nigeria too big for security agencies to actually get the locations of these terrorists where they take? No, you're laughing, but it's true. Our forests, is it that our forests are too big for securities to actually, comb the area and find out where these people are held? Well, we just pray. The only thing we can do is to keep praying that these children come back home, and we keep praying that one day these criminal elements will meet their Waterloo, and one day they will be apprehended, because this is really terrible, and we don't want this to keep happening in our communities. And it's sad that it even happens in rural communities, where even if the what I call them bandits now, or terrorists, if they say we want this amount of money for ransom, the parents can't even afford it, because they live in the rural communities. They cannot afford it.
It points to my earlier point. Most times when these things happen, government steps in. So it points to the earlier point. Are ransoms being paid by either the state or the federal government without Nigerians being told? That's the question. And the truth is that, why actually Smith, when he said I was laughing, is because truth is there is no willpower if the willpower is there, when we were talking about on government spaces, these bandits, Nigeria too big, because we did, they told us to link our NIM with our SIM,
Yes.
so that when calls are made, they can track location and all of that. So even if you want to argue that the bandits, they don't use their phone, okay, so a victim was abducted, and then a call is made via the victim's phone, why can that phone not be tracked? That's why I will always say it. Let me go to my village, enter the bush, and say something dissenting or slander the president or the governor. They will dig me out. They will dig me out. So why can't they get these bandits?
That's why I said, I don't know, maybe the forest is so wide and too big for our security operatives to come the area and find these terrorists. But it has to stop. It really has to stop. The life of one Nigerian is too important. Not to talk of, 10, 20, you hear of during these attacks in our communities, 10, 20 persons were killed and over 100, 200 were abducted. We shouldn't be hearing these stories at all. And if the Senate President is saying, oh, this is happening because we're gearing up for the 2027 elections, then this should be a challenge to those that are seeking for re-elections. This should be a challenge for the president. It should be a challenge for the Senate president who even spoke about this. It should be a challenge for him to want to get it right so that he'll be voted again in 2027. You can't sit on your seat.
He said we should wait. He said wait till after the election. Then you see that the attacks will reduce.
Promises were made in 2023. It's just that I don't know. We really don't know how to hold our leaders accountable in this country. If we really know how to hold them accountable, there were promises that were made to us, and we should stand on it that you were not able to fulfill your promise, so you should not be re-elected. But like I said, it should be a challenge to those in power that if I'm preparing for the 2027 elections and people are abducted in their communities, then I should be bothered. I should be pushed. I should be challenged to want to do better. We'll keep praying for the safe return of the children. I'm more concerned about the children because it's a very traumatic experience. We pray that they are released as soon as possible. And we urge our security operators to do all they can. We know that they're doing their best, but they can do more. They should do all they can to make sure that these children are rescued and taken back home to their parents. We'll move away from that story as we move to the health sector now. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has raised the nationwide alarm over the circulation of counterfeit Augmentin 625 mg tablets across Nigeria. According to the agency, the fake antibiotic, packaged in a 2x7 tablets or 2x7 tablets pack with batch number AC3N, poses serious health risks to unsuspecting consumers and has already been detected in circulation. NAFDAC disclosed that the alert followed the complaints received by the original manufacturer, GlaxoSmithKline, which is GSK, concerning suspected counterfeit Augmentin tablets being sold in the country. The agency explained that investigations carried out by GSK confirmed the product was fake after reviewing documentary evidence, photographs, and a social media video linked to the medicine. Although the counterfeit product carried the same batch number as genuine stock previously supplied to Nigeria, investigators discovered major discrepancies in the manufacturing and expiry dates, confirming it as falsified. NAFDAC has therefore urged Nigerians to exercise caution when purchasing medications and advise consumers, pharmacies, hospitals, and distributors to carefully verify the authenticity of Augmentin products before use or sale. The agency also warns that the use of counterfeit medicines could lead to treatment failure, worsening health conditions, drug resistance, and even death. Okay, this morning I think I'm going to speak to NAFDAC as it is. When it comes to food, when it comes to medicines, when it comes to drinks, these are very important things that shouldn't be played with in the country. Now, the distribution chain in Nigeria is something that we really need to look at. How was it possible that a fake drug was manufactured, then distributed to the extent that it is now in circulation in Nigeria? NAFDAC is an agency that should take its job really, really seriously. And when we talk about fake drugs and NAFDAC saying fake drugs could lead to treatment failure, most of the sicknesses that people come down with may not be as a result of their lifestyle per se. It could also be as a result of the fake drugs that we take. In a popular market, a very popular market we all know, Onitsha market here, I've heard cases of people saying there are two types of drugs. If you go there, they'll ask you the one you want.
Really?
Yes. They have fake drugs and they have original drugs. So what is NAFDAC doing? For years, we've complained about fake drinks, we've complained about fake products, and now I'm really scared when it comes to fake drugs. We shouldn't be having such things. Drugs are being manufactured, they have batch numbers. NAFDAC is an agency that should move around each state, move around companies who distribute drugs and check the drugs. It should be a regular routine. Before these drugs are circulated to parts of Nigeria, NAFDAC should, as an agency, should be monitoring these drugs. They should be going for regular, monitoring of these drugs. Now that we have this in circulation, what they should do is to recall both the original and the fake. Everything should be recalled back.
Okay, so now NAFDAC has a huge task on their hands, and they need to do better when it comes to control. There's also something that some products, they do that already. I think that I think in time past, if my memory serves me right, that even some pharmaceutical companies, they've also adopted it. There is a code attached to that. When you buy a product, some of them, you see a part where you can scratch out a pin, and then you message that pin to a number that they tell you to send to, and you receive. I've gotten a couple of products that are that way. So I know about this. So whenever I want to get that particular product, I scratch. I'll tell the buyer, first of all, especially in Asaba, because I've also had incidents that people are not well exposed. They don't even know what they're selling. I'm like, okay, there's a pin here that I'm supposed to scratch and send to confirm if it's original or fake. So because I do that and they allow me.
Okay.
But I went to a particular place. The person was like, if you scratch them, you must buy them. I just left it.
Well, Ogaga, you know why I'm staring at you?
Why?
Because if in Nigeria there was a time we were manufacturing airtime, recharge cards, and you scratch yourself. So if we could do that, don't you think that even those that produce the fake drugs, they already know that this is in place, and they'll devise a means to also put their code. When you scratch and send that message,
it can be regulated.
That
airtime.
I am certain that even the fake drugs, like this report I just took, they said the batch number is the same with the original one.
Yes, now it's copy and paste now. If you get an original, so no, this thing is blessing. I don't think you get it. If I get an original product,
I know what you're saying.
I can copy and put. But I'm telling you that
I have done that, scratching the drugs and sending a code.
Blessing.
I have done that.
Blessing. If there's a fixed number,
that is not enough.
I'm saying, but it's one of the. Okay, so what is enough? Is it moving
fake
around?
drugs should not even be distributed at all in Nigeria. That's why, like you said, NAFDAC has a huge role.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Fake drugs should not even be in circulation
you see that number thing is very feasible. We have to learn to embrace technology. If there's a fixed number, you are talking about people can generate their own numbers. But if there's a fixed portal, let's say the number you must send it to is 200, then they know the pins that are original that must go there. So they put all of this in place. I'm just saying that walking around will not cut it. That's the truth. Walking around from shop to shop cannot cut it. How many shops can they visit?
No, that's why I said distribution is the distribution chain is what NAFDAC should
What is happening now?
These manufacturing companies that let's say they don't even manufacture, but they have a distribution line. That they're the ones that distribute to pharmacies in the country. They should be going to their offices before these drugs are circulated. Before these drugs are taken to pharmacies. NAFDAC should go there. That is where they should go and do their monitoring. They should go and do their
Listen, I'm still telling you that is not enough. We need a way to independently and individually verify products. You know why? Because if you are the main producer and you supply to all of us, and I have a pharmacist, I don't buy from you. I go to somebody else to buy. How will NAFDAC know that the products you brought in, all of them might be original, but I might have another plug? It's just like this drinks thing you talked about. They even just across here now, I've seen different videos. There was one I saw, it was last week, sometime like it was wine. They're just making substandard stuff. That's why we should be careful what we also take in as it concerns drinks. So these people, they produce them, bottle it up properly.
It's all about
And
drinks.
the same
How
wrap.
about the water we buy on the express road? You buy,
Yes, all
ta-
these fizzy drinks.
table water,
Yes.
and if you, I don't know how they get it.
But they
I don't
seal
know how
it.
they do it.
They seal the same.
Yes, the bottled water, the bottles
The
of
same
water,
wraps.
they are sealed, the same wrap, everything, but they are fake.
Yeah.
That's why I said the distribution this product should not even be they should not be in circulation at all, because it's just like someone who is terribly sick, and then the family member has to go buy a drug. I don't think when you are so concerned about your family member being sick, you have the time to start looking at the drugs and scratching and sending a code. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I
No,
understand.
I'm not against what you're saying. Send those codes. Yes, I do that when I go to get drugs for malaria or typhoid. I see them and I do that. But in case of emergencies, people don't have time to begin to check. And because we know how our health system is like in the country, NAFDAC has to do better. You have to do better to make sure that these fake drugs are not in circulation, because fake drugs, fake drinks, they are very dangerous for our health. And that's why I said most of the sicknesses that people come down with, it's not because they did something wrong per se, but the things they take into their system, the wrong drinks that they take into their system, even down to water, the contaminated water that people drink. My dad will say, you are taking bottled water and you feel it's better than sachet water. Were you there when they were manufacturing the table water? So we have to make sure that
and that's
the drinks, the food, the packaged products, the drugs that people take in Nigeria, NAFDAC has to make sure that they are safe for citizens. They have a rude role to play, I must say.
And lastly, before we move to our next story, that's why I totally subscribe to the capital punishment prescribed by the DG of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, a death penalty for people involved in this, because truth is, you are taking lives, whether I like it or not. And I think that's another punitive measure, is another thing that can help manage and mitigate and put a control around this. When you realize that when you are busted producing fake drinks or selling fake drugs, then you know that it's not a matter of you're going to defend your 10 years imprisonment, 5 years, or paying fine. If you know there is a capital punishment that you lose your life, and we now start seeing that, okay, people that manufacture and sell are being persecuted and they face the capital punishment, I think it will also serve as a deterrent as well. Now, let's move on
So we have to be careful, please. When you get the augmentin drug, be very, very careful. Check very well before you take it.
Now, the World Health Organization, WHO, has declared a global health emergency following a deadly Ebola outbreak in parts of Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda. According to the WHO, the outbreak has already recorded hundreds of suspected cases, raising serious concerns about a possible cross-border spread across neighboring countries in the region. Health authorities are intensifying surveillance, contact tracing, and emergency response measures as efforts continue to contain the virus and prevent further transmission. The WHO says the situation remains critical, but under close monitoring, urging countries to strengthen preparedness and response systems to avoid a wider public health crisis. Now, at least 88 cases have been recorded in Democratic Republic of Congo, and Uganda, they are reporting that there is one imported case. However, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention has said that there is no confirmed case now in Nigeria, and they are up and doing. They've reported that they've tightened the surveillance and ensure that everybody is on guard, especially red alert in the health sector here in Nigeria. We don't want that situation. Recall that as of 2014, there was a situation like that in Nigeria. An imported case like Uganda they are facing now, infected traveler arrived in Lagos but from Liberia, but Nigeria was able to contain all of that, and eventually Ebola was eradicated from Nigeria. And now, 2026, Africa is facing another serious hit from DRC to now Uganda, and now other persons are on guard. So we need to be careful. We really, really need to be careful as it concerns this virus.
Yeah, I just wish there's a way when foreigners are coming into the country, there's a way or there is a test that every passenger has to run to make sure that they don't have any illness or any of this deadly. Yeah, I just wish so, because most of these diseases or sickness we hear about, the Ebola, the other one now, I'm trying to, hantavirus, yes, the hantavirus and all that, they are spread through, travelers foreign travelers coming into a country. They go out of the country and they're coming in with something. That's why I said I wish there was a way that each traveler coming into the country would run a test and be certain that they're fine, they're free of any illness. Now this is not good. Ebola in DRC, in Uganda, it's not good news, and I just hope that there's enough surveillance, there's enough emergency preparedness, there's international cooperation to prevent another major public health crisis in Africa and all over the world. We're already having reports of hantavirus, now Ebola. In Nigeria, there are cases of Lassa fever, especially in Edo State. So we have to do a lot. Like I said, we have to be very careful. Be careful and just take care of yourself. And like I said, for agencies
and there was
like WHO,
also a report of COVID in Cross River State. Yes, a certain local government in Cross River State and all of that. So contact tracing was still also. Everybody needs to be careful.
Yes.
And also, medical practitioners, please use your personal protective equipment. Cover yourself, because we've had people who contracted this and they passed on. So it breaks my heart when a medical personnel watching after an infected person contracts the illness or the virus, as the case may be, and eventually dies. It's very, very painful.
Yes, and like I said, emergency preparedness in Nigeria, other countries, I know that even if there's an outbreak, they are very quick to curtail it. They're very quick to identify the persons that got into the country. They begin to trace how many persons you've met so far, how many persons you've come in contact with. So our emergency preparedness in Nigeria should be at the top of it should be at the top of the game. They should make sure that it's not in Nigeria now. It's good one. Even the hantavirus, we don't have any case in Nigeria. Ebola outbreak, we don't have any case in Nigeria for now. And I hope it remains that way. We pray it remains that way. But we should be careful. If you're traveling out of the country, be careful how you mingle with people. I would want to say don't touch anybody, don't shake anybody. But hand washing is very important, that you continue.
Good hygiene.
Yes, you continue that habit of always washing your hands. When you go out to a restaurant to eat, you mingle with people, you shake hands, wash your hands. And hand sanitizers are also being sold in pharmacies. I don't know why we stopped using them, but
because COVID went away.
Yeah, because COVID went away. But we need to go back to the pharmacies, get a very small hand sanitizer, use it all the time. If you can wash your hands regularly, when you go out, use your hand sanitizers. It's very important, and stay safe wherever you are. But that's it for our trending stories this morning. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with Monday's edition of Morning Ride. Please stay tuned.